we need 20,000 orders by December 31st to keep our business open.
So you need $2 million to stay open.
When I actually launched the campaign, I actually had negative $18,000 in my account.
Being a friend of mine, Neo, we did a campaign and it got millions of views, and this young lady made a whole bunch of money. She wound up still going out of business.
Real leaders, they go first. They fall on their sword. They sacrifice their ego. They will fail publicly and for their team in front of other people so that the team doesn't have to suffer. My customers own 15% of my business.
Oh, wow.
So if we ever sell the company, they get a 15% payout. You really got to have some champions behind you because they see it when nobody else does.
Welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast, man. We find dope people that are doing dope stuff. And today, oh man, I'm so excited. I don't even really reach out to a lot of people for the podcast, even though I probably should because there's some amazing people in the world. But I think it worked. Your community worked. Somebody posted something. They posted a video of you saying, yo, we're about to go out of business. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I just felt something. And I said, this young lady, she got something here. Because then I went on a rabbit hole of like looking up what CurlMix is and all that kind of stuff. And I said, man, this would be an incredible conversation. One, I think people need to understand how a situation like this happens. Mm-hmm. Two, we could probably make some money. You know what I mean? Like really, let's save the business. So we have Miss Kim Lewis here from CurlMix. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I've watched tons of Social Proof, so I'm excited.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a fan.
What was your favorite episode?
Ooh, don't do. Oh, you know what? No, I liked Morgan and Pinky. Yes. And I listened to Morgan's because I always want. I mean, I knew Blavity was killing it, but I always want to know how she made her money, and I feel like she answered that on your pod, which I was like, okay, girl.
Yeah, and you speak that language like between corporate. So I'm an entrepreneur that I've made money from my personality, or like I can sell a product, or I could do an event. But now I'm thinking bigger, like how do I get like $100 million exit? So this is a fairly new conversation for me. Okay. So when I see what you're doing, I'm like, ooh, I need the game and I need the information. So I just want to know like how this all happened. So let's just talk about the state of where we are right now and what's happening.
So we need 20,000 orders by December 31st to keep our business open and our doors open and keep employing our team and making CurlMix products. We've got about 3,000 orders so far in the last 11 days. So I'm excited about that. So if you guys want to support the campaign, go to CurlMix.com/protect or just CurlMix.com, and you could either donate or you could buy one of the 10 for 10 items that we have, or you could buy something for $5. It doesn't matter. Any order helps.
20,000 products equates to what? How much money?
$2 million about.
So you need $2 million to stay open.
So here's the thing. If we're going to run this kind of campaign, I didn't want to do it where we get like 10,000 orders and the business is open, but there's no money in the bank, right? And our debt is cleared, but like we have no cash to operate. Yeah. One of the things I learned about my business this year, and we had a profitable month this year, is that it needs volume. So if I'm not able to do $500,000 or more a month, I should not stay in business because I won't be profitable. And so in order to be profitable, I have to be doing 10,000 orders a month about. And so I think we can do that. We figured out the secret sauce of what creates that. We got a 10 for 10 offer on our website, which is $100 AOV, and it gets the volume that we need.
AOV, what's that?
Average order value.
Okay, you got to take it slow with me. I'm just
sorry. You know, I'm in business all day, so I can just, I talk fast too. Yeah. You know?
Let me ask you this. $100 average order value, what is the profit margin on that $100?
I mean, now you're asking for like real, like private.
No,
details.
but I'm saying it's because I think entrepreneurs know when we run a sale, we can get the volume in, but like, are we really making money? You know what I mean?
In this sale, the margins are good. They are about like $50 or so on each order.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah. So the reason we ran the campaign, when I actually launched the campaign, I actually had negative $18,000 in my account. And I was like, yo, I don't have a check on the way. Not from an investor, not from a bank. And typically when my account would get low, I'd have a check on the way. Yeah. And I was like, there's nothing else to do. And I was like, well, if our customers want us here, the only way we can stay here is if we earn it. So if they want to buy to keep us here, then like, I'll let them know. And of course there was a testy conversation. Not everyone wants us to announce something like this, you know, because it's like, it just snowballs. And it did. And a lot of people picked it up. And, so like some investors are like, whoo, like we didn't want you to do this. But I want people to know the truth. I raise money publicly for my community. My customers own 15% of my business.
Oh, wow.
So if we ever sell the company, they get a 15% payout for whatever the liquidity is, If we ever sell for 10 million, 100 million, I'm shelling out 15 million in cash to my customers. Wow. And I was like, if I'm going to raise money publicly, I have to fail publicly if I'm going to do that, or give them a chance to save us. Because I also know if CurlMix were to die, a big part of their lives would be missing. I have 20,000 customers in a Facebook group, and they literally go to each other's like birthday parties, and they go over to each other's houses, do each other's hair, and like they had in the DMV area, Joe, she had planned a winery visit for her birthday, and a bunch of CurlMixers came. Tammy in Chicago had a 55th birthday party, and they all flew up for her. And I was like, if we shut down, like they're going to be so sad. And I was like, I have to give our community a chance to help save us.
For sure.
And so I just decided to come out and say it like, hey, we need this many orders by this date. And here's what it'll do. It'll make us profitable. It will pay off all of our short-term debt, and it will put some cash in the bank so that we can maintain volume. Yeah. And maintaining volume, make sure that CurlMix is around for a very long time.
Got it.
And so you don't want to run this campaign and then be out of money and be like, I'm still struggling and back in this debt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So when you make the announcement, that's not the start of the problem. How long have you been like feeling this anxiety? Like,
probably 3 years, to be honest. And I say this because we've been a venture-backed company for a few years now. And what it means to be venture-backed is that your investors are funding growth, right? So you don't necessarily have to be profitable, but you have to be growing. So it goes from 1 to 5 million to 10, you know what I mean? Then you'll get an investor check.
No matter what the profits are.
Exactly. Generally speaking, as long as the losses aren't too bad, you could pretty much get an investment. And that was the economy. That was the cash was flowing. From 2020 to 2023, everybody had money.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard y'all talk about the Russian roulette with the credit cards. You just throw it in there and just like whoever.
I'm gonna tell my kids that was the gold rush.
Exactly. You know what I mean? and it felt the same way for businesses. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you needed a check from an investor, you could pretty much get one pretty easily. And then almost overnight, at the top of like last year, that changed. And in 2023, I want to say, you just couldn't get investor checks like that anymore. And so it went from, oh, you're growing, let's give you a check, to doesn't really matter, you're not profitable. And you're like, wait, that wasn't the scorecard before. Yeah. And so for a lot of venture-backed companies, they can't just immediately switch to profit. Because so for example, I think like Picky was on the podcast, and she was saying that like, if you were let's say you're burning $500,000 a month. Yeah. We weren't, but let's say you are, right? And you're doing $1 million a month in revenue. Your burning means you're spending 1.5 million in expenses, which means you're spending too much money, right? What would you have to cut to immediately be profitable the next month? You got to cut $500,000 in expenses. Yeah. And sometimes
but you can't make the million.
Exactly. Exactly. So the revenue goes down. You're not making the million. And who knows if you can even function with the $500,000 in expenses that you have to cut. Yeah. Because what does that mean? Like you're cutting your building costs, you're cutting your team. Like essentially you just have materials at that point, Yeah. And so many people end up bankrupting their venture-backed startup because there's no way they can figure out how to get profitable in such a short period of time. So most people are even surprised that we made it this far. They're like, the fact that, so our, the amount that we've lost has decreased every year. And after this campaign, we'll be break even this year. And so that makes me very happy because we've been really efficient with our capital. But
hold on, you said the amount that you lost increased every year? Decreased.
Yeah, so you might lose, let's say you lost 3 million, and then you lose 2, and then you lose 1, and then you are break even, and then you're profitable in the next year. So
that's how investors invest, because that's why you're saying it's not about, being profitable today, because they know the life cycle of, we're going to lose, and then one day.
It took Starbucks, I want to say 10 years to turn a profit. It took Amazon, I think 15. And Kathy Hughes is the owner of Radio 1, which is like the founder of The Quiet Storm back in the day, WGCI. Yeah. She owned several hundred radio stations. She's the largest Black-owned media company back then. She kind of made the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's because she controlled the radio. She didn't turn a profit for the first 7 years. And it's funny because when she talked about it, she's like, when I got the P&L from my accountants, they were like, she's like, this is wrong. It says we're profitable, but I know we're not profitable. And she threw the books and gave it back to them, because sometimes it takes a long time to get there. And when you consider our business, we were manufacturers. So we have our own 30,000 square foot facility in the inner city in Chicago. We hire Black folks. We paid them 20% above market rate. We had 3-month maternity leave. Exactly. You know how much this stuff costs. We were treating people well. It wasn't like I'm sitting here in like red bottoms and I'm like blowing the cash on my personal wealth. I'm not doing that. I want to do good in the community. We were donating in 2020 to like different projects, 20,000 here. And I was like, okay, we do good with our money, and we pay our customers when they go live for us, all kind of stuff like that. And so the money wasn't going to waste. It was an investment. And our factory is 30,000 square feet. And we cover all the expenses when something breaks. The HVAC, the when there needs to be salt, when it snows, just the landscaping, all of those things. And so
we got 3,700 here, and I'd be sick at that power bill every single month. And that's a tenth of what you got.
Oh my gosh.
I can only imagine.
Yes. And so we were responsible with the money. I want people to understand that, because I think sometimes people are like, well, where'd all that money go? And it's like, well, yeah, we raised a little over 10 million, but we've made over 40 million in the lifetime of the business. And they're like, well, how do you make all that money? And then you're out of money. Big businesses go out of business all the time.
100%.
Bed Bath & Beyond, Silicon Valley Bank. Y'all know, y'all seen them just close up shop.
100%, bro. And if anybody that's an entrepreneur understands,
yes.
I mean, you could make a lot of money, especially if you think about the entrepreneurs like during the pandemic, where there's so much money going on, and then seasons change, or product cost goes through the roof, or Trump tweets something, and it's like, yo, I can't.
Tariffs are crazy. You know what I mean? The cost of shea butter has gone up, like raw materials. And most people in my seat, they are ordering their products from overseas, which is totally fine. This is how in order to have a profitable business, you have to be geo arbitrage. So you got to hire your team from overseas. You got to order your products from overseas. You have to have almost no payroll, and that's how you run a profitable business. But then you kind of lose the impact, right? So if you're focused on impact, which is what we were focused on, you're hiring here, in Chicago, South Side. You're paying folks well. You're making everything in your own facility. You're paying taxes, employees, you offering insurance and benefits and all this other stuff. It makes it difficult to do that as a small business.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What year did you start the business?
So we started CurlMix in 2015. It started as a do-it-yourself box for curly hair. So think like Blue Apron, but for hair. And did that for 2 years and found that our flaxseed gel was our best-selling product.
Hold on, I'm sorry. So it was a do-it-yourself box?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Like, you know how Blue Apron would send you all the materials to make your own dinner?
Girl, cook.
Okay.
my wife handles all. I don't even be in the kitchen while she's cooking. I'm like, ooh, I ain't.
And we got the idea from watching Shark Tank, because this lady was making these organic cookies and stuff, and everything was pre-packed. And so we were sending people pre-packed raw materials to make their own products at home.
What was in it?
Like shea butter and coconut oil and like coconut milk and like rasul clay.
Oh, so you're saying you put all this together and then you got your own formula?
Yes. And you're mixing it at home for yourself. And people loved it, but it was novelty and not necessity. So people were still buying ready-made products themselves at home when they would go to the store. And then we found that our flaxseed gel was the thing people loved. Flax seeds, the little seeds that when you boil them, it makes a gooey gel. Sometimes people use it as an egg substitute.
I thought it was chia seed.
Both. They're similar. They're in the family. Okay, chia seeds, flax seeds. Flax seeds make a better gel, a thicker one. Okay. If you extract the gel, put it in your hair, it gives you a really great wash and go. And so we took that as our hero product and went on Shark Tank and made our first $1 million that way.
So, okay. So was the company profitable those first 2 years?
No, but we lost less money because everybody was contractors, and you know what I mean? I was making like, I don't know, me and my partner were sharing like $60K. You know what I mean? We went from making a lot of money in tech to like almost very little, like just paying our mortgage. So we were profitable, but the team had no money. You know what I mean? We're all really broke.
Okay, hold on. Let's rewind a little bit.
We're not profitable. We lost very little money. I'll say that.
So before you started this, the curl boxes or the hair boxes, what were you doing? You were making money in tech?
So I went to business school at U of I, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, ILI. Anyway, and I studied business. So my degree is in marketing and supply chain management. Okay. So I actually spent my summers working in factories like General Mills. Okay. So the Nature Valley bars, the old El Paso tacos, it's the old Pillsbury factory out in like near Quincy, Illinois. Okay. And so that's what I was doing before. And then I went to be a district manager in training at Aldi for about a few months. could not cut it. Like, that's a hard job. And it started to mess up my arthritis and stuff. And so, carpal tunnel. And then after that, I was like, I wanted to be a tech entrepreneur. So I ended up getting my partner, Tim, on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He won $100K.
You got him on the show?
How? I signed him up, and I sent him a flight to go take the test. And it's like, hey, go get on the show. He's really smart.
Really?
And he ended up winning $100K. 20,000 went to taxes, 80,000. So it was like a salary for a year. And then we put some of that money into the Natural Hair Academy, which was a niche social network for natural hair.
Okay.
And but did that for 2 years and realized like niche social networks don't work.
It was a Natural Hair Academy. So pretty much like a Facebook group, kind of?
In a way. It was like a Facebook for hair.
Was basically. It paid?
Huh?
Did people pay?
No, but we had like 2,000 subscribers. You know, it's so funny because now I see people making niche social networks and I'm like, I did that in 2013. Do not do it. Like, so waste of time.
So, okay. So what was the business model there? Like they were subscribing to what? How much?
No, they were just, because then you could get funding off of just how many users you had. That was the market back then. If you had a growing user base for your app or platform, like you could
subscribing to the platform. So you built an app. Essentially.
It's like a media site.
I see. I see. Okay, so 2,000 people were subscribed to that. And
I got my first check from Onyx Box, which was a different curly box at the time, for $200 to run ad space on my website. And I realized, I was like, oh, I can never compete with Facebook. I was like, I should close this now. I should close this today. And ended up closing it and then doing the DIY box. And that business, we did like $100K that first month. I mean, not month, sorry, the first year. Sorry. And then like 115 the next year. But then I learned that the margins on our box were only 30%. Yeah. But most hair care products for like just this bottle, it's like 90%. And this bottle can go for $30 and so can my box. So for my competitors, they're making $3 for every $1 I'm making. Yeah. I was like, oh, I should not scale this box, even if I can, even if it's like gangbusters.
But hold on.
So bad.
So with the box, and you didn't have a big team, how is it not profitable? How much did it cost to make the box?
So there's like 15 touches on the box, right? Because you put 5 ingredients, you got to scoop it, you got to pack it, you got to label it, and it's just so much labor. Right. And the only way it was profitable was because I wasn't paying myself. You know what I mean? But like, you don't want to scale a business based on excess labor. You know what I mean? Like I have sweat equity, so I'm going to do this. But like, it just didn't make sense.
So the business lost money, but you, the person, y'all made a little something.
A little something. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I got you. Okay.
And he was working in tech too. So, funding my side hustles.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Step number 1, find somebody to fund this. Dope. Okay. So, and this is such a cool story to see like how things evolve, because people think that the first thing that they do is going to be it, but you weren't afraid to pivot, notice what's happening, say, yo, let's go all in on this one.
This is like my 3rd company. And I always tell people, if you find a Black founder that did more than 10 million in revenue, they probably had 3 things. 1 is ain't their first rodeo. They got a failure under their belt. 2, they probably have a billionaire that they know, that you don't know that they know, that they can ask for help if they need it.
Why? Hold on. Because I don't got one yet. So you're saying if there's a Black founder that has done over 10 million, they have a failure, and 2, they know a billionaire. That's a key.
You don't know this. And then they have someone over 40 running the company in the background. Yes. And I think that's the case for many of us. And I say us because I'm included in that. You know what I mean? I'm no exception to the rule. And so, but I know this because I talk to people and I know a lot of the ins and outs, but like most people don't. And so sometimes we compare ourselves like, why don't I have this and why don't I have that? And I'm like, come on, this is their 3rd company. Okay. They've been in the game for a decade. They know a billionaire that can cut them a check. And if you know a billionaire, you probably know 100 millionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not that the billionaire is funding everything, but if they get into a tight spot, maybe they can. Maybe they can write that check for $1 million, $2 million, that you don't know about.
Oh, I need a billionaire friend. I think, they're
out there.
They're out there.
They're out there.
So how did you connect with your first billionaire friend?
It was actually through a mastermind that I was in. And my friend, her mentor, was running a project for a nonprofit. And he's like, do you know any fast growing businesses who have physical space in Chicago that want to expand? And at the time, we were growing really fast. And she's like, yeah, I know someone. This is my friend Kim. Introduced me. And then we ended up working with the nonprofit to fund our factory. And that was one of the ways we were able to actually set it up.
Wow.
It's a very expensive project,
Yeah. Wow. He said they have someone over 40 running the company.
Helping or doing a lion's share of the work. Yeah, for sure.
Is that you?
I have my aunt in the back that nobody knows, but she's like, she's just the guy in the chair. She handles all the money. She makes sure everybody gets paid. She helps, manage things, and she kind of shakes the table when I need to go out and make more money.
Wow. This is dope. Oh my gosh, this is so valuable. Okay. So we start selling the flaxseed gel, right? And then your partner goes to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire after that. Okay. Then he's got a couple dollars. We put it into
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire happens first. Then
the
Natural Hair
boxes.
Academy.
Yep.
Then the boxes.
Yep.
Then the flaxseed gel.
Gotcha.
Then Shark Tank.
Okay. How'd you get on Shark Tank?
Pitched. It's harder to get on Shark Tank than it is to get into Harvard. They have 40,000 people that show up to the casting calls every year. And then they select, I think, a couple thousand to call back. And then they do the dwindling down process. And then 100 film and only 80 air. And so just literally show up to a calling. And this is why I tell people their pitch is so important, because you just got 30 seconds to impress the producer when they're doing those, 40,000 people. And if you don't have a really good story that America will love, then, you'll be forgotten.
Dang, bro. I went to a Shark Tank audition. It was in Atlanta. We just outside, and it's cold outside, and we're just waiting and waiting. We're out there for hours. And then I finally get in there. And I'm like, oh, they got to take me. That's what I was selling. My t-shirt brand.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't practice a pitch. Nobody said anything about a pitch. I'm just going in there, hey, this is my brand. And we for entrepreneurs. And we da-da-da-da-da. It was so dumb now that I look back. I'm like, that was a waste of time.
No, one of my favorite stories is the daughter whose dad passed away was a firefighter. And they used to cook together. And she had a cutting board that they had designed together, and she built this business because of him. And isn't that a great story? A tearjerker. And if you cry on Shark Tank, you're gonna go up first, and so you're gonna make the most money because they do 5 pitches per episode, and so it's just all about the story. And at the end of the day, everything is about the story. Everything is about the story. So if you can get good at one thing, it is pitching.
Even what we're doing here, I think it compelled me because someone posted the story that you said. And this is intentional crafting if you want to get people to rally behind a thing, right?
In truth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely want to be authentic and just lay it out there. And I think more now than ever, people are tired of hearing, the cookie cutter, rehearsed, inauthentic pitch. Tell me what's the real. You know what I mean? And that was what we did with Protect CurlMix.
Absolutely. So was it originally called CurlMix?
The company, yes. We've always been called CurlMix.
Okay. Starting with the flaxseed gel. Okay.
Yes.
So we start selling the flaxseed gel. Then we go on Shark Tank. Who invests?
So Robert Herjavec did an offer for $400,000 for 20% equity stake. And at the time, we were making $1 million a year. And we ended up turning it down because we didn't want to do more than 15% equity. And he said he didn't know anything about curly hair. So, at this point, you're just a bank, right?
Yeah.
And then I had already had investors who were giving us a $6 million valuation, and Robert was giving us a $2 million valuation. And he said he couldn't help. So then it just didn't make sense.
And
You know what I
help
mean?
us.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. And
Wow.
so we turned it down. And then after Shark Tank, I ended up getting a call from the former CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner at the time. And he and his partner invested $1 million into the business.
Really? Wow.
I was just off of the episode. So it was really good. It was really, really good.
Real quick, this don't have a whole lot to do with that, but how long did you stay in the Shark Tank? And I know they cut it down, but how
45
long was you?
minutes.
You was in there about 45 minutes.
Yeah. But some people could be in there for 2 hours.
Yeah. Was Damon there?
No, he missed our episode. They ended up having Ali Webb from Dry Bar.
Nobody black?
They didn't have nobody black on.
They didn't. Nobody know nothing about curls.
No, they didn't. But you know what? There was a lot of black people who were working on the set for Shark Tank that we didn't see. So after we pitched and we walked out, all these like black people came from behind the cameras and they did like a slow clap. You guys did so good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Like I was so scared. So it was that was gratifying and it felt really good.
Wow. Okay. After Shark Tank, when did you go? What year was Shark Tank?
Shark Tank was it aired 2019.
2019.
Yeah, 2020. I went out to raise investment because we had grew a lot. We went from like 1 to 5 million, and
1 to 5.
In 1 year.
Still not profitable.
Well, we burned very little money, so it was close to break even. But the thing is, we make our own stuff. Again, remember I'm telling you, like because we make our own stuff, we have to be doing like 5 or 6 million in revenue to kind of be profitable. And then even when if you're raising money, then we're fighting growth, and it's a lot. But yeah. Don't harp on that because that wasn't the goal at the time. The goal was just, can you keep the growth? You know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm challenged with, and it's challenging my thinking of how I even approach business or look at it, because I think a lot of people, if it's not profitable, they feel like they're spinning their wheels and then they quit because I'm not profitable, and that maybe makes them feel like I don't have anything. Maybe I'm just not good at this.
No, and see that's not the way. That's because we don't have entrepreneurs in our family to explain, businesses that can exist for 10 years and not be profitable. We don't understand the Starbucks, the Amazons, the Googles, and granted, these are really mega big companies, right? And it's not to say that we couldn't have been profitable sooner, but it just wasn't the goal at the time. It was more about growth and scale. Now profit is my focus. Now I am counting every dollar. Now we're not like, yes, I want to grow, but I want to do it responsibly. But the economy changes. You know what I mean? It's like, just like there's Trump imposed a tariff on taxes. You know what I'm saying? Not taxes, I'm sorry, on products. That changed everything. Now people's costs are going up by like 30% for no reason. It's like, and then the market changes, the economy, the standards change. It's just different.
Everything changes, man. I want to ask about this too, because you said you raised over $10 million of investment capital. How much of that was from people, like crowdfunding? How much was it from like just a human being saying, I'm going to invest? Or percentage wise? I
mean, we have 9,000 CurlMixers who own equity in the business. And the 6 million that we raised from the crowd. And I think some people will harp on this number.
6 from the crowd.
6 from the crowd. And the rest of it was like private capital.
Got it.
But I think people will harp on that number. We were in business for 10 years. So imagine I got 1 or 2 million every year. You know what I mean? Or every other year, not every year. And so for a business that's generating 40 million in a lifetime, more than 40 million in lifetime sales, technically you could say, oh, we 4X that capital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the crowd funders, they probably don't bother you, but I always get leery about if I'm going to take some capital, who am I actually getting in bed with?
Of course.
Do they come in and like try to tell you how to run your business?
Ooh, that's a great question. If someone gives you a check, they have an opinion and you have to listen. That doesn't always mean you have to act on the opinion or the ideas, but you have to listen. And so I do have a board, me, Tim, and my lead investor. It's just the 3 of us. And they have opinions. And sometimes we have to listen to the opinions. And sometimes the team might think something different. My crowd investors, they do talk back to though. They definitely comment on the WeFunder page and things like that. Yeah. But again, I have a fiduciary to the business. Yeah. So I'm always going to do what's in the best interest of returning capital to my investors, which is why I didn't just close. A lot of people would have been like, actually I have an angel investor. She invested a very small check, like $15K. And she basically was like, Kim, a lot of founders in your position would just close. They wouldn't go on a campaign trying to raise the money from their customers and make sure the business could, survive and then scale and rebuild. She was like, because the thing is, because I've been building the company for 10 years and I've already raised money, I could close and walk away and somebody would fund my next project pretty easily for a few $1 million because I'm a 3rd or 4th time founder and I wouldn't make those same mistakes again. But who would I be sacrificing? And if I did that, all of my investors, my crowdfund investors, my team, I would, and I'm not that kind of leader. You know what I mean? There's a difference between being a leader and having leadership skills.
Explain that.
I think leadership skills are performance-based. I know this is what a leader is supposed to do, so I'm going to act like a leader. Real leaders, they go first. They fall on their sword. They sacrifice their ego. They will fail publicly and for their team in front of other people so that the team doesn't have to suffer. And I believe I'm a real leader. And so if that means my ego has to be crushed and I have to come on here and say, hey, I was running out of money and I need help from my customers to continue to go on, I'll do that. My ego will die every day for my team.
Man, I would join your team. I think this is, because I'm just knowing that you have a heart to fight, and really people really won't ever understand what you're going through until you're in that seat. You got to make these hard decisions, because I can imagine the anxiety and your heart pounds every single day. Not only the people that you have to pay and they're relying on you to feed their family, but also the people that believed in you. You know what I mean? To be that beacon of hope. And I could just almost, I can almost feel the pressure, man. How do you manage it? How do you deal with that?
I think I have a different relationship with fear. Obviously so, right? I'm still in it. I'm over here talking to you, bearing my soul. But some things don't scare me as much. And I know we're on a floating rock. And nobody's going to remember me in 100 years. So
that's a way to put it.
You're living on a floating rock, and no one's going to remember you in 100 years. So make all the mistakes. Do what you got to do, But I also said I've had a panic attack before. I've definitely had to lay on the floor, scream. You know what I mean? Like, definitely had my moments. I get up, take a little ashwagandha, and get back to work.
Dude, in this campaign, you can't have this vision to go on this campaign. Do any of the investors, are they pulling resources to say, yo, let me get you on this platform? I have that type of relationship? I
definitely had some investors who were in the process of potentially lending me money, but it hadn't closed yet. And I wasn't sure if they were going to do it. And so I was like, well, this campaign would only help. If we get more cash in the bank, that means I'm more likely to return your capital. So it only helps to do this, if you're going to lend me money. So I definitely had some investors. And then I've had investors write some silent checks before. And then after we launched, I had a lot more help from a lot of people that are like, what can we do? So people are just throwing resources my way, which I never anticipated. I never anticipated the number of people who, someone who's a rockstar PR agent, she worked for a friend of mine who was also a fellow founder. And she was like, I'll rep Kim for free during this campaign. So she's been pitching me to different media platforms and get me on different shows. Or I've had investors who are like, oh, I can send it to this person. I'll send me the loan deck that you need. I'll, talk to this person. I know this major media agency that wants to wrap their arms around you and do amazing campaigns for you. So I've gotten it's crazy because 2 weeks ago I was having a conversation about there being negative $18,000 in the bank. And today I'm having conversations about, well, dang, can we double next year? And, our ads are crushing it. And it's a night and day conversation. So I am grateful that my community showed up to protect CurlMix, because I wasn't sure 2 weeks ago,
Here's my question. So things aren't, they're not going as well as you like them for the last few years. We go on this campaign. Let's say we do raise the $2 million. Well, we don't necessarily have another campaign to go on after that. What do we do after this energy that we have now? What do we do?
So we had a profitable month this summer. And so I know what it takes for us to be profitable, but we were managing.
When you say you had a profitable month, which means, dang, this is getting even better. So when you have a profitable month, it's a celebration, because typically that's not the norm in a business this big.
And so we basically did, I want to say $550 that month, I want to say. And ultimately we had a certain amount of money we could spend on ads. We had less debt, and then we had inventory. But the issue we run into is if we don't have enough cash to buy inventory, enough cash to run ads, enough cash to manage debt, then I'm choosing which of those I'm funding that month. Right? You get that? So if I can't run ads, I'm not going to hit the 500, right? So I'm going to be down, which means I'm going to lose, right? If I can't pay my debts, that's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So I got ads and inventory, but okay. So then, but if I pay my debt and I have inventory, I have no ads. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you don't want to have to choose between the three. And so this campaign allows us to not have to choose. It allows us to have 3 months of inventory. It allows the debts to be paid. It allows us to have money for ads. And so I don't suspect that we'll ever have to do a campaign like this after this, because I set the goal high. You know what I mean? The 20,000 orders is needed. Otherwise, you know, we'd have a problem. So.
Got it. Okay. So I don't know if I got the clarity on the answer. Do investors uncomfortably tell you what you need to be doing, I know it's you, your partner, and the other investor, but is there anybody else that gives you money that feels like they own you and you're like, come on, let me do what I do?
I think everyone's interest is in the success of CurlMix.
Correct.
Right. And so sometimes people have different ways that they think CurlMix will be successful. But what I will say is that, you know, my team is in the numbers every day. And so I think I like to seek advice from people who are in my industry. And I mean industry by e-commerce, not necessarily natural hair, but e-commerce. And so I do sometimes, you know, get into, you know, spirited matches with investors here or there. And I think that's just the nature of getting venture capital. I don't know a founder who hasn't had an argument with an investor. You know what I mean? And I often think arguments are good for business. I argue with my aunt all the time, every day, every day. And we always, because we both have the best of intentions for the business, but we always come to a really good solution. Which is why CurlMix is still standing and still here today. And so, yes, I may get into some disagreements with my investors, but I think it's for the best. I think we're both better because of it. I think they back better founders because of it. And I think I learned how to communicate with my investors more, which is only a skill that I could get better with, you know?
Right. So you've grown a lot through this process. What would you have done earlier, faster, if you could do it all over again? Because someone's watching this and you may be able to help them prevent some mistakes.
Yeah, I would have been leaner with my team. I probably hired
from the beginning.
Yeah. I still would have gave people benefits and mat leave and all that stuff, but I probably just wouldn't have so much duplicity in the roles. You know, like instead of having 3 people for a role, I might have 1 or 2, and only certain roles need duplicity. You know, I also probably.
Oh, you have multiple people for one role?
Yeah, because I mean, if like
ours be different. We got one person doing 3 things. AK, I need you switch it. And
Exactly. But you know that something happens. Somebody get, you know, hit by a car, or like they have they had to be hospitalized for a month, or like that can be. Don't let them be in a sales position for sponsors. Like that's critical. So some things you do need duplicity on. For us, it might be our production, right? Like and that's a risky way to run the business if you don't have any duplicity. Yeah. Because it's a risk for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you know when you raise capital, they want you to de-risk the business. So go ahead and get that extra $20,000 a year insurance. Go ahead and get the duplicity for the roles because we want to insure our investment. So I would do things differently. I also probably would have negotiated more on my lease for my factory. Okay. That was a huge lesson. An expensive one too. Yeah. And so I got 1.5 years left on it. And we're still figuring out what we're going to do with it, but my rent's a little pricey. So I definitely would have negotiated not having to pay for, you know, the salt trucks and stuff when the snow comes down, or like handling the landscaping, or like repairs, you know, just stuff like that. And I think that just comes with the territory of being an entrepreneur. Yeah. You know, I think sometimes people will look at us and say, well, you did all these things wrong and this is why you're here. And I'm like, well, we did a lot of stuff right to be around for 10 years too. Yeah. So you're going to make mistakes. I just think it's important to learn from them and do better next time. Emotionally, how do you feel right now in the season that you're in right now? If you can try to explain it. I'm not good at putting like labels to my feelings because I can't describe it sometimes. I don't know if you can. How do I feel? 2 weeks ago, I felt sick to my stomach. I had that like pit in my stomach. Like, am I doing the right thing? Because a lot of people didn't want me to do this, you know? So I'm like, well, do you want me to fail quietly, you know? Or do you want me to wait for another check or my team doesn't get paid? You know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to do? And I'm just like, and I had to, one of the things I learned from listening to Ami Cole's episode, Diara, I think her name is, she talked about the closing and shutting down of her business, her makeup brand, on, I think it was Emma Gree's podcast. But anyway, and she talked about, one of the things she struggled with was all the different pieces of advice she's getting from everybody. And, and sometimes you're getting advice from people who've never run a business. Maybe they only have ever worked at a venture capital firm. Then sometimes you're getting advice from people who have run a business, but they've never raised money from investors. Or you're getting advice from people who are angels or people who are like just all kinds of different roles. And you as a founder know in your gut what to do, but you have to manage 10 people at the table and their opinion on what you should do. And then deal with the backlash for everybody you had to go up against to do the thing. And so that is something that I knew I would have to do if we made this decision to run this campaign. I was going to have some people I'd have to answer to and after, running it. Not everybody was excited to do this. And everybody's afraid. Your team, my team launched it with me, but they're like, okay, so are we working in 2 months? Like, you know what I mean? That's scary for everybody. And so I felt sick to my stomach, like in a way that made me want to like vomit almost. But then when I was like, I weighed all the alternatives, I was like, my customers love us. They love our brand. Like there are people who want to see us around. And I know that they would campaign for us and make sure that we have what we need to do that. And so I was like, I'm the riskier one on my team. I'm like, I called one last person before I made the final decision to do it. Early investor. She put like $15K. That's what I mentioned earlier. And she was like, of course you have to do this campaign. You should have done this 2 weeks ago. And I was like, you think so? She's like, absolutely. It doesn't matter what check is on the way. She's like, because they're all going to want to see that you have more money in the bank. And she's like, in this campaign, when you crush it, it's only going to be the story that all your investors tell when they brag about you.
Right.
It was like everybody that gave you a check, I'm like, did you see what she did? She was like, you have to run. And the importance of listening to her is she built a company. She exited a company. She ran a multi-billion-dollar venture capital firm, left, and then launched her own firm where she raised $125 million in her own firm.
Wow.
And so she's been a builder. She's got an exit, a founder, like an investor. She sat on all sides of the table. And in her mind, there was no hesitation about pulling the trigger on this campaign. Yeah. And I was like, I should have called her. I should have talked to her like a month ago because I could have done the campaign when I had, $50K in the bank or 100 or whatever versus like waiting until like the last minute. And so it's important to have like people who've been through it all in your shoes. And, I was remember telling her like, I'm a little ashamed that the company's going like, it hasn't just been a steady increase in growth year after year. She's like, oh, companies do this all the time.
All the time.
Up and down all the time. She's like, I've seen companies go from 5 million to 60 million in a year. I was like, are you serious? She's like, yes. And so she kind of really instills within me that like anything is possible. And I love her for it. You really got to have some champions behind you because they see it when nobody else does.
Facts. Have you experienced black on black hate? I mean, you have a big company. So it was crazy. So I went to Afrotech last week and I see negative comments about Afrotech, but I'm like, I was there. The people there had a ball. I was super impressed and I do events. So it was like, it was put on with such excellence. And I was talking to Ryan Wilson. He's like, bruh, I was on Threads and he was explaining like some of the stuff that he saw. He's like, yo, these people could not have been at the same event I was at because this was incredible for you. And this is the company, yo, I'm hiring black. I'm creating something for black. It's like, it's for us, by us. You experienced that too?
Oh my gosh. It makes me so sad.
It's ridiculous.
Because you know what? My white counterparts don't say that to us, about us. You know what I mean? I only hear it from, and let me say this. The response to the campaign has been overwhelmingly positive. And I have learned that it's a skill to amplify the positive voices over the negative ones, right? And the negative comments I've seen around our campaign were like mostly under like a Black Enterprise post, where it brings out all the trolls, And I was like, dang. And they was like, well, sometimes you just got to close up shop. Or like, they were like, we could all use $2 million. And I'm like, you don't know what I'm spending the money on? Like, oh my God.
Right.
It was just bop, bop, bop. It was like 100 comments. They were all mean. And I was like, but that's also, I have learned too that like, you can't expect to have a platform and to have an audience and not have, positive and negative comments. Like it just comes with the job. And like, do you want the job or no? And if you don't want the job, shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and if you do it, whatever. So that's one. But then two, I am actively, like I saw some negative comments about Afrotech. And when people were like, what is Blavity building? And why does it have to be for black people? I commented, shut up. Shut up. Because the people who ain't built nothing have the most to say.
100%.
Because nobody who's a builder is going to comment anything negative about Afrotech, anything negative about the Gathering Spot, anything negative about CurlMix, because they just know what they've experienced and how difficult it is, and how much they've sacrificed to get where they are. So yeah, and you know what I think too? Sometimes the community, the critique that comes from the community can be well intended, but I think it comes from that you got to be twice as good for half as much. And we've internalized that so that we don't give each other grace. And I think that's crazy, you know?
Is there a solution? Is there like something that needs to happen? Because we understand the problem, but what does someone do? And plus we don't have like leaders essentially anymore like we used to. Like there'd be all of us follow Martin Luther King. He's our leader. But now we all got our own Instagram. We all got our own following. What do we do about that, man?
Oh, that's a tough one. What do we do about the naysayers and the negative Nancys in our
community? I'm just specifically talking about the people that are fighting internally against us, the people that we're trying to help.
You know what I asked? I asked my audience to pop them on their hand in the comments. You see somebody acting up, bringing one of us down. We don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no room for that here. And, you know, actually, I was talking to someone I work out with. She was basically letting me know that, like, she thinks that if you have a platform, you're responsible for the kind of community that you cultivate. So if you let negative comments sit there and fester and you just let people just, like, ram into each person, she was just like, that's the community that you're building. And I was like, It's a real socially responsible way of thinking of it, because I think media has to be objective. So I can't just go and take out every comment I don't like. You know what I mean? But she has a point that if people know they can come and just troll, then you will have a comment section full of trolls.
Bro, I don't reply ever. I just let it go because because I understand what their job is. I know their assignment. Their assignment is to let me have an opinion that will create more engagement. I think that's the goal. I don't even think all of them, that's their opinion. Like if you look at, let's say for instance, a Essence Fest or whatever, right? And I didn't go to Essence Fest, but I saw there were people that said, man, I'm not going to say it, but what y'all think about Essence Fest? And these people didn't go. That's popular to say because I get to be negative.
Yeah.
And then people will rally behind the negative. What's not cool is to say, yo, I had an amazing time. That's not popular.
You know, I also feel like too, people who are happy with themselves and their own lives don't sit and like come up with negative stuff to say on the internet.
This is true. You said something there.
So I think, you know, it might just take our community getting more money. Like if we have more money in the bank, we probably have a lot less problems. And that's tough because that's systemic and it's not all our fault why we don't have the money that we should have. So it's
which is why you create the fund where other people can actually benefit from the success of this company.
Of course, which is why we, you know, build companies so we can hire Black folks. Black folks are the #1 employer of other Black folks. So the more of us that stick around and the more of us that protect CurlMix, the more of us, you know, will be able to employ more Black people. And what I really hope for this movement, because I've seen other people start to kind of pop up with similar offers or like protect my business. I hope that in 2026, people are doing protect, insert business name. And they're running their own campaign because I really think group economics is how we solve the problem.
Yes.
Because no one's going to do it for us. No one's going to give us the money. Trump's not going to write us no checks for Black-owned businesses. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but if we are each spending $100, which each month that we know, you know what I mean? As much as you can, like that, and we collectively do it. It's almost like a cash mob. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you can fix a lot in a business with a cash mob. So I think we just need to help each other with group economics.
I trust that you understand the business and how to grow it, things of that nature. So me and a friend of mine, Neo, we did a campaign and it got millions of views. And, you know, this young lady made a whole bunch of money. And I believe Pinky supported this young lady too. And bless her heart, she's an amazing person. But she raised the money. And I remember walking into the store like, man, this is just not a good business model, I don't think. But her heart was in the right place where I'm trying to help other businesses grow. So I'm like, yo, I want to get behind it. So she raised a bunch of money, but she wound up still going out of business. And sometimes if And maybe it's our fault too, because we helped raise the money, but we didn't mentor and coach in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So sometimes those things backfire negatively because, I support it and it still didn't work out.
So, and I would say the difference in our situation is that our numbers have improved each year. So our return on ad spend went from like a 2.2 to like a 3.1 this year. And this is before the campaign. I think toward the end of the year, it'll probably be like a 4X or something like that, which is excellent. Best we've ever done. Or like our cost for acquiring a customer has gone down $10. Or we reduced operating expenses by $1 million and was able to grow revenue 10%. So like the business is headed in the right direction, right? Like the fact that we were able to grow 10% without an infusion of capital, you know what I mean? It's like,
for sure.
And then we reduced our costs by $1 million, and then we'll be breaking even this year. I think we just got to a point where we figured out the best offer to acquire new customers. We figured out we got our COGS, our expenses down. Our numbers make sense in every other area, but we need volume. And so this campaign gives us the volume that we need to get everything manageable. And then come January, we have the formula. We have the formula and we'll have the cash, which I feel like I haven't always had the formula and the cash at the same time.
You've always had the formula. You've always had
We've
the
been
formula.
tweaking it. You're funny. You're saying the product.
No, I mean, well, both. That was like a little entendre right there. You know what I mean? But you have built a strong company. So whatever you're doing is right. But I think on the other side is like these other communities, they got like money to just like pour in and pour. You tried that, little Timmy? Joint didn't work? Okay, let me give you some more money.
Yes.
And you're right. We don't have that support, but you're somebody where if we support, you know what you're doing. You understand this.
Thank
and
you.
Your heart's in the right place.
Thank you.
So it's just we don't get that leg up in our community like that.
We need more exits. We need more of us to build big businesses. More of us to build 10, 20, $100 million businesses and sell them, and then make sure our teams get paid out, and then they go build bigger businesses and they hire people. And like eventually with another generation or two, we'll have that check, but it probably won't happen in the near future,
See, you got the formula. That was a formula. That's a formula right there.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. If you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook or something like that, go to CurlMix.com right now. There's a campaign right now where you get really the biggest end of the stick because you're about to get some products that can really, really help you for a very, very low investment. You could put up whatever you want on there, but if you're watching this right now, because we decided to stream this on Instagram, I need you to comment the word protect. And if you ever see yourself building a big business and you want the community behind you, I think it's very important that you be the community behind somebody else. You can't always take and want somebody to help you. So I am going to get some products from my black wife and my black daughter and my black baby and my black son.
And she's stunning, by the way. I remember you posted a picture. I said, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
I'm glad they get their daddy hair. You know what I'm saying? My kids. But yes, I got a beautiful family and I'm going to get some products because one, I want to support you, but two, I need to support the community. And three, you never know how I might have to come back to you one day like, hey, remember I reached out to you.
I got you.
Hold me down, right?
I got you.
And I think that's the essence of a community. So I need y'all to comment the word protect right now. I want you to go buy something. And they could just donate too, right?
They could. You could donate $5 if that's all you got.
Do it. And I want you to take a screenshot and I want y'all to flood Kim's DMs. Okay. Listen, she might not reply because she's a very busy woman, you reply?
I replied. No, not you. You replied. I replied. Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. I want you to just send a screenshot. If this helps you in any way, you're watching this and maybe you're inspired to do something in business, I want you to just go to the comments, say, I support it and thank you. I think that's how we are going to grow. Last thing, two more. One, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What do you see yourself accomplishing in the next 5 years? Because I want to be able to watch this 5 years from today and say, yep, Kim said she was going to do that.
Oh, okay. Right now I'm battling between two options, right?
To me.
I could sell the company and pay back money to my crowd investors, but I know that people would not love that. Some people don't love that idea. Or, which the idea I think I like a little bit more, is to be like a Ben and Jerry's, you know, a community-backed, funded, and rescued brand that continues to serve the community, that we're able to get behind different causes and really like make a difference. Ben and Jerry's started in like, what, 1978? Family-owned company, like for a long time. And then they did that for 30 years, you know, before they sold to, you know, Unilever or P&G, whatever they sold to. So like, I would love to do that. Just build a really big business, be community owned, and hire from the community, like just serve my community. I think there's nothing more gratifying.
Yeah. Take your cape off for a second. And I just want to talk about the vision for Kim, the person. Like what inspires you? What makes you feel good? What makes you feel like, because you do a lot for the community, but I want to know how you take care of you. And I know it's hard running a business like this.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I had no intention of building a big business when I started this. I found a journal from 10 years ago, I think a few months ago. And the only thing I wanted to do was make $1 million and see every country in the world. All 196.
Will $1 million do it?
Oh
Can we
gosh.
see?
I probably don't need $1 million to see all 196, you know? But this is like, you know, Kim with no kids and no business and just my personal. So what I really wanted for myself was to be a polyglot, to know 3 different languages. Polyglot. So to know at least 3 languages. English, Spanish, and French. Je parle un peu français. J'étudie français avec mon tuteur. So I know a little French and I study with my tutor.
Oh, wow.
So that's my passion. It's like language and travel and people and culture. So I've been in like over 20 countries. I would love to see them all.
Wow. And you will.
Thank you.
You will see them all. Kim, thank you so much for coming to the show. Again, let everybody know how they can support you, and they'll be seeing this for years to come as well. But also just leave us with a word of wisdom.
Ooh, thank you so much for having me on the show. This has been, you're right, probably my favorite interview.
Really?
You said it would be. You said it would be. Yes. You're really good at this. You're really good at this.
Thank you.
I would say, I am not a one-woman show. My team is the reason I am still standing. And you'll notice I try not to use the word I at all. It's always we, because it's never been just me. So I would say do good things and do good by people, do right by people, so that you have a team backing you up so you can go far.
I like that. I got so many questions. Okay, last question. You can tell everybody how they can support. How do you develop as a leader in that way? To get people to rally behind you and be this amazing team.
I'm a really good talker, but I have to shut up and listen. And I have to ask questions and let the long pause be there. And when my team offers their advice or their ideas, truly listen and like dig in their idea, ask another layer of questions and like, show me this and show me that. And why do you think that? And give them space, because I realize too, as a leader, the team sees you as a leader. So they're going to almost go with whatever you say, no matter what. And it wasn't until I had like one of my executive coaches come in the business and there was like a miscommunication. And I found out that my media buyer, she runs all of our ads, who loves me down, I love her down, was frustrated with me about something I did, but she didn't tell me. And I was like, well, why wouldn't she tell me? Of course she can tell me. Like, and it came out that she didn't feel as comfortable always saying her thoughts and ideas because I'm the leader. And I was like, oh, you know what? I talk too much. I could stand to be quiet. What do you think about this? You know, Sasha, Nikki, what do you think about this? You know, why do you think that? Show me. Pull up your dashboard. Show me what you're looking at. Oh, I get it. Oh, and you know what? And sometimes I'll let them just go. I was like, you know what? We'll go with what you suggested. I think I know best sometimes, but let's try yours first. And if it doesn't work, then we'll try mine. So that's been one way I've developed as a leader. And then feedback is a gift. Yeah. And your team has it. So when they tell you things about yourself, listen. I've gotten the feedback that I move too fast. I've gotten the feedback that the fast one is a big one. I talk too fast and I move too fast, you know? I hear that a few places. So sometimes I have to like sit with ideas before I just quick to action on it. Just feedback is a gift, and listen to your team and ask more questions.
I love it. Is there anything y'all want to say to me? Okay. All right, chill out. All right, okay. All right, yeah, let everybody know how they can support you.
Yeah, you guys go to CurlMix.com to protect CurlMix or comment protect below. I'm posting every day until December 31st on Kim Lewis CEO. And you can keep up with the campaign and see how we're doing and watch us hit our 20,000 orders.
Let's go. Y'all be one of them 20,000. Thank y'all so much. Do yourself a favor. Go follow Kim right now. What's your Instagram?
Kim Lewis CEO.
Kim Lewis CEO. Make sure you go follow Kim Lewis CEO on Instagram. Go support CurlMix. And go, like, listen, y'all, go become really, really successful. Like Kim said, have an exit. Go build something really, really big. But then come back to your community to teach them how you did it, because it's the only way our community grows. We out of here.